Let me tell you something that's going to shake you. The reason he keeps coming and going is because you keep reacting. Every text, every long paragraph, why did you do this? You are feeding a man who already knows you'll always be there. And the scary part, he's not scared of losing you. He's scared of losing access to you. There's a difference. You don't need to argue with him. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to compete with another woman. The most savage way to ignore him is not silence with pain, it's silence with power. Because when a man realizes your attention is no longer guaranteed, his ego starts bleeding. And when his ego bleeds, he panics. But here's what most people do wrong right before he breaks. Let me tell you the truth most people don't want to hear, but it's the truth that will set you free. The reason he can walk away, come back, act cold, then act sweet again, is because he has never truly felt the cost of losing you. He has only felt the comfort of knowing you're still emotionally available. And that's not love, that's access. See, a man will respect you in direct proportion to how much he believes he can lose you. Not how much you love him, not how much you forgive him, not how much you sacrifice. A man doesn't wake up one day and say, wow, she loves me so much, let me stop playing with her heart. No. A man wakes up when he realizes, hold on, she's not here the way she used to be. That's what shakes him. That's what makes him think. That's what makes him regret. And I know right now you might be thinking, but I gave him everything. I was loyal. I was consistent. I was patient. Yes, you were. And that's beautiful. That means you have a good heart. But listen to me carefully. A good heart without boundaries becomes a target. You've been giving him something that should be earned. Your attention, your emotional energy, your softness, your explanations, your tears, your time, your loyalty. And you've been giving it even when he wasn't acting like a man who deserved it. You have to understand something about a man's mind. A man learns you not by what you say, but by what you tolerate. He doesn't study your words, he studies your patterns. He studies what happens after he messes up. He studies whether you disappear or you chase, whether you hold the line or you break the line, whether you stand on your standards or you fold because you miss him. And every time you fold, you train him. You train him that your love is bigger than your self-respect. You train him that he can disappear for days and you'll still be there. You train him that he can disrespect you and you'll still answer. You train him that he can give you half and you'll still give him all. Now let's get even deeper because this is where it gets uncomfortable. A lot of women don't chase because they're weak. They chase because they're afraid that if they don't fight for it, they'll lose it. Afraid that if they don't speak up, he'll forget them. Afraid that if they don't prove their worth, he'll choose someone else. But baby, if you have to beg a man to see your value, you're already with the wrong man. And if you have to compete for a man's attention, you are not in a relationship, you are in an audition. And you can't win love through auditions. You can only win anxiety. That's why I'm telling you right now, your biggest problem is not him, it's the way you've been responding to him. Because he has been operating off one belief, no matter what I do, she's gonna be there. And when a man believes that, he stops being careful with you. He stops being consistent. He stops being intentional. He stops courting you. He stops valuing you because what's guaranteed is taken for granted. That's not cruelty. That's human nature. If you want to see a man's true character, don't look at what he says when things are good. Look at how he behaves when you stop giving him what he's used to. Now I want you to really look at your own behavior. Be honest. When he pulled away, did you pull closer? When he got distant, did you send paragraphs? When he acted cold, did you try harder? When he ignored you, did you double text? When he said, I need space, did you give him space? Or did you panic? Because your panic is his power. And a man can feel that. He can feel when you're scared to lose him. He can feel when you're emotionally dependent on his attention. He can feel when you're waiting by your phone. He can feel when your mood rises and falls based on whether he's texting you. And the moment he feels that, he has the upper hand, not because he's evil, but because he knows you're more invested than he is. And when one person is more invested, the relationship becomes unbalanced. One person becomes the prize and the other becomes the pursuer. Let me say something that might sting, but you need to hear it. You cannot be the prize while you're chasing. The prize doesn't chase. The prize attracts. The prize has standards. The prize has options. The prize has self-control. The prize has peace. And right now, you've been chasing peace through him when peace was supposed to come from within you. Now listen to me. This is not about playing games. This is not about manipulating him. This is not about trying to make him suffer. This is about reclaiming your dignity. This is about breaking the pattern that keeps you stuck in emotional slavery. Because the truth is, every time you respond too quickly, too emotionally, too desperately, you are telling him, you still control me. And the most savage thing you can do to a man who thinks he controls you is show him he doesn't. But before you can ignore him the right way, you have to understand why you've been unable to. Because ignoring him isn't hard when you're healed. Ignoring him is hard when you're still emotionally attached to the version of him you wanted him to be. You're not missing who he is right now. You're missing who he was in the beginning. You're missing the potential. You're missing the promises. You're missing the moments. You're missing the fantasy. And you keep trying to resurrect a man who has already shown you he's comfortable losing you. That's why this hurts. Because you're not grieving a relationship, you're grieving a dream. And let me tell you something else. The more you chase a man who's unsure about you, the more unsure he becomes. Because a man's brain starts thinking, if she has to chase me this hard, maybe I really am the prize. And then his ego inflates. And when a man's ego inflates, his effort deflates. He stops trying. He stops showing up. He stops fearing consequences. So what's the first step? The first step is not ignoring him. The first step is accepting the truth, accepting that the version of you who keeps explaining, keeps forgiving, keeps begging, keeps checking his social media, keeps stalking the other woman, keeps replaying old conversations, that version of you is not going to win. Not because you're not worthy, but because you're not respected in that energy. And respect is the foundation of everything. Without respect, love turns into control. Without respect, romance turns into manipulation. Without respect, commitment turns into convenience. So I want you to make a decision right now. Not a decision to leave him forever, not a decision to hate him, not a decision to punish him, a decision to stop giving him free access to you. Because access is earned. Access is a privilege. Access is sacred. And when you treat your presence like it's disposable, he will treat you like you're replaceable. But when you treat your presence like it's valuable, he will start realizing what he's been taking for granted. And I know what you're thinking, but what if I ignore him and he never comes back? Listen to me carefully. If a man can walk away forever because you stopped chasing him, then he was never yours. He was just passing through your life, using your love as a temporary comfort. And you don't need a man like that. You need a man who feels your absence like a loss. You need a man who respects your silence. You need a man who understands that when you step back, it's not because you're weak, it's because you're done being played with. But here's the part that separates the women who get their power back from the women who stay stuck. The moment you stop reacting, he will test you. He will push. He will poke. He will send something small, something casual, something that looks innocent. And if you don't understand what that test means, you'll fail it. That's what we're about to talk about next. Now we're stepping into the part most people get wrong, because they think ignoring him means being cold, being rude, acting like you don't care, or trying to punish him. No, that's not power. That's pain pretending to be strength. Real power is quiet. Real power doesn't announce itself. Real power doesn't need to prove anything. The savage silence that changes everything is not the silence of a wounded woman trying to make him feel guilty. It's the silence of a woman who finally understands her value so deeply that she refuses to negotiate it. Let me say it in a way you'll never forget. The most dangerous woman to a man's ego is the woman he can't read anymore. Because when you were emotional, he could predict you. When you were upset, he knew you'd text. When you were hurt, he knew you'd explain. When you were confused, he knew you'd chase clarity. When you were missing him, he knew you'd fold. But when you become calm, when you become quiet, when you become unavailable emotionally, that's when his mind starts spinning. And that spinning is not love at first. It's panic, because a man's ego is built on one thing: certainty. Certainty that he still has access. Certainty that he still matters. Certainty that he can still get your attention whenever he wants. So when you remove that certainty, you don't just remove your presence, you remove his control. And that is what makes him come back. But you have to understand the difference between ignoring and disappearing. Ignoring is reactive. Disappearing is intentional. Ignoring is emotional. Disappearing is strategic. Ignoring is I'm mad. Disappearing is I'm done feeding this. The goal is not to make him suffer. The goal is to make him feel the shift, because the shift is what breaks him. Let's talk about the shift. The shift is when he realizes you're no longer sitting around hoping he chooses you. The shift is when he realizes you're no longer available on demand. The shift is when he realizes you're no longer trying to convince him to act right. The shift is when he feels you moving forward without him. And a man can feel that even if you never say a word. See, the mistake a lot of women make is they think silence is just not texting. But silence is deeper than that. Silence is an energy. Silence is a posture. Silence is a decision. Silence is you refusing to explain yourself to someone who keeps misunderstanding you on purpose. Because let's be real, some men don't not understand. They understand perfectly. They just don't care until it costs them something. And right now, it hasn't cost him enough. That's why your silence has to be clean. Clean silence. No sneaky messages, no indirect posts, no accidental likes, no checking his story, no watching his every move, no asking mutual friends, no sending songs, no emotional bait, because the moment you do that, you break the spell. And yes, it's a spell, because what you're doing is you're removing the drug. You are removing the supply. Your attention is the supply. Your emotional reactions are the supply. Your presence is the supply. And he has been living off it. So when you cut it off completely, he starts going through withdrawal. That's why he starts checking your page. That's why he starts wondering what you're doing. That's why he starts thinking about you at night. That's why he starts remembering the good parts. That's why he starts feeling jealous. That's why he starts missing your energy. Not because he suddenly became a better man overnight, but because you stopped feeding his ego. Here's where I need you to get serious, because this is where the savage part comes in. Silence only works when it's backed by self-respect. If you're silent but you're still waiting, you're still losing. If you're silent but you're still hoping, you're still stuck. If you're silent but you're still checking, you're still attached. The savage way is when you're silent and you are building, you are upgrading, you are glowing, you are healing, you are improving your body, your mind, your money, your peace, your social life, your confidence, your standards. You are becoming the woman he thought would always be available. And the reason that's savage is because he doesn't get to witness the transformation in real time. He only gets the aftermath. He only gets the moment he sees you later and realizes, hold on, she's not the same. And that's what hits him in the chest. Because men don't fear losing a woman who is begging. They fear losing a woman who is elevating. Now, let me break down something important. When you go silent the right way, it forces him to face himself. When you're always talking, always explaining, always fighting for the relationship, he never has to sit with his own behavior. He never has to sit with the consequences. He never has to sit with the guilt. Your words become his distraction. Your emotions become his excuse. Your chasing becomes his comfort. But when you stop, he has nothing to hide behind. And that's when the regret starts. That's when he starts replaying everything. That's when he starts hearing your voice in his head. That's when he starts remembering your tears. That's when he starts realizing you were the one who loved him when he didn't deserve it. And that's when the panic turns into obsession. I need you to understand this. Silence is not just not texting him. Silence is refusing to be emotionally available to a man who is not emotionally responsible. Silence is refusing to be a safe place for a man who keeps hurting you. Silence is refusing to be the woman who makes it easy for him to disrespect you, because you are not his emotional mattress. You are not his backup plan. You are not his comfort zone while he explores other options. And the moment you stop being that, you become a problem to his ego. And men hate problems they can't solve. Now, let's talk about the internal battle you're going to face, because the hardest part is not him. The hardest part is you, your cravings, your memories, your emotions, your anxiety. There will be nights you want to text him so bad you can feel it in your chest. There will be mornings you wake up and your first instinct is to check your phone. There will be moments you want to send a paragraph explaining how much he hurt you. But listen to me. The paragraph will not change him. The paragraph will only soothe you for 5 minutes. Then you'll feel embarrassed. Then you'll feel small. Then you'll feel like you lost your power again. And he'll feel like he won. So you have to stop treating communication like a cure. Communication is not a cure when the person doesn't respect you. Silence is the cure, because silence is the boundary he can't argue with. He can debate your words. He cannot debate your absence. He can twist your sentences. He cannot twist your silence. He can gaslight your emotion. He cannot gaslight your disappearance. That's why silence is savage. Now, here's another truth. When you go silent, he will not immediately come back begging like in the movies. Sometimes he will act like he doesn't care at first. Sometimes he will post more. Sometimes he will look happier. Sometimes he will try to show off. Sometimes he will act like he moved on. That's not strength. That's performance. That's a man trying to convince himself he's not affected. Because a man's pride will always fight before his heart admits the truth. So don't let the performance fool you. Because when a man is truly done, he doesn't perform. He disappears. When a man is truly unbothered, he doesn't need to prove it. The proving is the sign that your silence is working. But here's the key. You cannot break silence because you get emotional. You cannot break silence because you miss him. You cannot break silence because you feel lonely. Because the first time you break it, you teach him that he just has to wait you out. And if he learns that, he will keep doing the same thing forever. He will keep leaving. He will keep returning. He will keep giving you just enough to keep you attached. And you will keep bleeding. So silence is not just for him. Silence is for you. Silence is you detoxing. Silence is you breaking the addiction. Silence is you proving to yourself that you can survive without his attention. And once you prove that to yourself, you become unstoppable. Because the moment you stop needing him, you become the woman he can't control. And that's when he starts to crawl back. But listen carefully, because the next part is where women lose the entire advantage. When he finally reaches out, he won't come with a full apology at first. He will come with a test. And if you don't recognize the test, you'll fall right back into the trap. Now we're getting into the part where his real psychology shows up. This is the moment that separates the woman who takes her power back from the woman who gets pulled right back into the same cycle. Because when he comes back, it will not look the way your heart imagines. Your heart imagines he'll come back crying, apologizing, pouring his soul out, admitting he was wrong, begging you to forgive him, promising to change, and suddenly becoming the man you always wanted. That's the fantasy. But most of the time, he comes back like this: hey, what you been up to? You good? I was just thinking about you. Or worse, he comes back acting like nothing happened. And that right there is the first test. Because he is checking one thing: do I still have access? He's not coming back to give you closure. He's coming back to see if the door is still open. He's coming back to see if you're still emotionally available. He's coming back to see if he can still push the same buttons and get the same reaction. And if you answer too fast, too sweet, too emotional, too eager, he learns that your silence was temporary. He learns that you didn't change. He learns that you were just mad. And when he learns that, he loses respect again. Let me say it clear. A man does not change when he misses you. A man changes when he realizes he can lose you. Missing you is emotional. Losing you is real. And your job is not to give him emotional comfort the moment he feels lonely. Your job is to protect your value, because a man will come back for many reasons, and not all of them are love. Sometimes he comes back because the other woman wasn't what he thought. Sometimes he comes back because he got bored. Sometimes he comes back because he misses the way you made him feel. Sometimes he comes back because his ego is bruised. Sometimes he comes back because he's lonely. Sometimes he comes back because he wants to make sure you're still there. And sometimes he comes back because he genuinely realizes he made a mistake. But here's the problem. You won't know which one it is if you let him back in too quickly. You have to make him prove it. And the way you make him prove it is not by arguing. It's by staying calm. It's by staying slow. It's by staying in control. Because when you stay calm, you force him to reveal his intentions. Now let's talk about the second test. The second test is when he tries to pull you into emotion. He'll say something like, I miss you. I've been thinking about you. You know I still care about you. Or he'll try to make you feel guilty, so you're really just going to ignore me? Oh, I see how it is. You changed. Let me explain what's happening. He is trying to drag you back into the old dynamic, the dynamic where you explain yourself, the dynamic where you defend your feelings, the dynamic where you prove you care, the dynamic where you get emotional and he stays in control. And if you fall for it, you lose. Because the moment you start explaining, you're back in the cage. The savage power move is this: you don't argue with a man who already knows what he did. You don't defend your silence. You don't justify your boundaries. You don't beg for understanding. You let your actions speak. Because when you start explaining, he feels like he still has influence over you. When you stay quiet and calm, he feels like he has to work to earn you back. And that's what you want. Now listen carefully. The biggest mistake women make when he comes back is they try to cash in their silence. They think, okay, he's back. Let me tell him everything he did wrong. Let me finally get my closure. Let me finally make him understand. And you start unloading, you start listing, you start crying, you start venting. And in that moment, you feel relief. But you just gave him the gift of emotional access again. You just gave him the gift of your heart on a plate. You just showed him he still has the ability to pull you out of your peace. And once he sees that, he relaxes again. He stops chasing again. He stops fearing consequences again. Because you just proved to him, I'm still yours emotionally. That's why you have to understand when he comes back, he is not coming back to heal you. He is coming back to test you. Your response decides everything. Now let's talk about the third test. The third test is the breadcrumb. This is when he gives you just enough to keep you attached, but not enough to commit. He'll text you randomly. He'll flirt. He'll check in. He'll send emojis. He'll ask how you are. He'll call you late at night. He'll act sweet for a day, then disappear again. And if you accept breadcrumbs, you teach him that you can be kept with crumbs. And you cannot complain about a man feeding you crumbs if you keep eating them. You have to starve the behavior you don't want, because the only reason a man keeps doing the same thing is because it keeps working. Now, here's the most important part. When he comes back, you have to watch what he does, not what he says. A man can say he misses you. A man can say he cares. A man can say he made a mistake. A man can say he wants you. But the question is he showing up? Is he consistent? Is he making plans? Is he taking accountability? Is he being intentional? Is he leading with actions? Because if he's not coming back for love. He's coming back for access. You cannot give a man access without commitment. That is the rule. Now, I want you to understand something about his ego. When you go silent and he comes back, his ego is not just hurt. His ego is challenged because he expected you to be the same. He expected you to fold. He expected you to chase. He expected you to be available. And when you're not, it forces him to face a truth. You might actually move on. And that terrifies him. Because a man can replace a woman who is begging, but he cannot replace a woman who has peace. He cannot replace a woman who has standards. He cannot replace a woman who is rare. So when he comes back, he will try to regain control. Sometimes he'll do it by being sweet. Sometimes he'll do it by being angry. Sometimes he'll do it by acting like you're the problem. Sometimes he'll do it by love bombing you. Sometimes he'll do it by making big promises. And this is where women fall again. They hear the promises and they melt. But listen to me. A promise is not proof. Consistency is proof. Effort is proof. Accountability is proof. Time is proof. A changed man doesn't beg with words. He shows up with behavior. So your job in this phase is not to be impressed by words. Your job is to be disciplined enough to require actions. Now, let me tell you the most savage thing you can do when he comes back. It's not to ignore him completely forever. It's not to block him instantly. It's not to insult him. The most savage thing is to be calm and selective. Calm enough that he can't read you. Selective enough that he can't access you. Because when you're calm, you look powerful. When you're selective, you look valuable. And a man will chase what he feels he has to earn. Now, I need to warn you about something. When he comes back, you will feel a rush of validation, a rush of excitement, a rush of relief, a rush of, see, I knew he'd come back. And that rush is dangerous because that rush can make you forget why you went silent in the first place. That rush can make you lower your standards. That rush can make you accept less. That rush can make you start acting like the old version of you again. And if you do, he will go right back to the old version of him. So you have to stay grounded. You have to remember the pain. You have to remember the disrespect. You have to remember the nights you cried. You have to remember how small you felt. Not to stay bitter, but to stay wise. Because the goal is not to get him back. The goal is to get your power back. And if he wants to be in your life again, he has to meet you at that level. Now, here's the final mistake that ruins everything. When he comes back, a lot of women immediately start giving relationship benefits again. They start giving him their time, their body, their emotional support, their loyalty, their forgiveness, their softness before he has earned it. And once he gets the benefits without commitment, he has no motivation to change. Why would he? He's getting everything he wants. So the rule is simple: no access without consistency, no comfort without accountability, no intimacy without intention, no second chance without a new standard. And if you can hold that line, you will watch something incredible happen. You will watch a man who thought he could play with you start realizing you are not a game. But there's one more level to this, because once you hold the line, the power shifts completely. And that's when you become the woman he can't replace. Now we're at the final stage. This is where everything changes. Not because he suddenly becomes perfect, but because you finally become unshakable. This is the moment the power shift becomes permanent. This is where you stop being the woman who hopes and you become the woman who decides. And listen to me carefully. The greatest revenge is not him crawling back. The greatest revenge is you no longer needing him to, because when you reach that place, you win no matter what he does. See, most people think the goal is to make him miss you, but missing you is easy. Men miss all kinds of women. Men miss convenience. Men miss comfort. Men miss attention. Men miss the way you made them feel. But the real goal is to make him respect you. Because a man can miss you and still play you. A man can miss you and still cheat. A man can miss you and still keep you as an option. Respect is what changes behavior. Respect is what creates consistency. Respect is what makes a man move differently. And respect doesn't come from your tears. Respect comes from your standards. Now, the power shift begins the moment you stop negotiating your worth. The moment you stop explaining yourself to someone who keeps hurting you. The moment you stop trying to convince a man to choose you, because the truth is, the moment you have to convince him, you already lost. You are not here to be tolerated. You are not here to be almost chosen. You are not here to be a maybe. You are not here to be the woman he runs to when he's lonely and runs from when it's time to be a man. You are here to be valued. And if he can't do that, he doesn't deserve access to you. Now let's talk about what happens inside a man when he sees you become this woman. It's not just that he misses you. It's that he starts doubting himself. He starts thinking, how did I let her go? He starts thinking, what if she meets someone better? He starts thinking, what if she's happier without me? He starts thinking, what if I was the problem? And that's when his ego collapses, because his ego was built on the belief that you would always be there, that you would always forgive, that you would always respond, that you would always be emotionally available. But now he sees you're not. Now he sees you can live without him. Now he sees you can smile without him. Now he sees you can glow without him. And that is terrifying, because a man can handle a woman being angry. A man can handle a woman crying. A man can handle a woman begging. But a man cannot handle a woman becoming indifferent. Indifference is the death of his control. And when control dies, he starts scrambling. Now, I want you to understand something. When you become this version of yourself, you don't become cold. You don't become bitter. You don't become heartless. You become disciplined. You become selective. You become intentional. You become the kind of woman who doesn't get moved by temporary emotions. You become the kind of woman who doesn't confuse attention with love. You become the kind of woman who doesn't confuse words with commitment. You become the kind of woman who doesn't confuse missing you with deserving you. And that's where the real glow up is, because the glow up isn't just hair, makeup, and a new outfit. The glow up is your standards. The glow up is your peace. The glow up is your self-control. The glow up is the way you stop handing out your heart to people who haven't proven they can hold it. Now, let me give you a truth that will change the way you see relationships forever. A man does not fall in love with a woman who is always available. A man falls in love with a woman who is consistently valuable. And value is not what you give. Value is what you require. That's why you have to stop thinking, how do I get him back? And start thinking, what kind of man deserves me? Because the moment you shift that question, you stop being the chaser. You become the chooser. And when you become the chooser, everything changes. Now here's where it gets real. When he crawls back begging, apologizing, promising, you must not confuse his desperation with his transformation. A desperate man will say anything. A transformed man will do everything. So if he comes back, the only thing that matters is this. Is he willing to meet your standard without complaining? Is he willing to show up consistently? Is he willing to take accountability without blaming you? Is he willing to rebuild trust patiently? Is he willing to do the work without expecting instant forgiveness? Because if he is not willing to do those things, then he is not coming back for love. He is coming back for access. And you are not a door that swings open every time he knocks. You are a woman with a lock, and not everybody has the key. Now, the power shift is also about what you do while you're silent. Because silence without growth is just waiting. Silence without healing is just pretending. Silence without self-respect is just another tactic. But when you go silent and you grow, you become unstoppable. You start seeing how much of your life you were putting on pause for him. You start seeing how much of your energy you were wasting on someone who wasn't matching you. You start seeing how much you were shrinking yourself to keep him comfortable. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. That's why silence is not just a relationship move. Silence is a spiritual move. It's you returning to yourself. It's you choosing your dignity over your emotions. It's you choosing your future over your attachment. And that's why it changes everything. Now, I want you to picture this. You're no longer the woman who responds instantly. You're no longer the woman who panics. You're no longer the woman who checks his page. You're no longer the woman who stalks the other woman. You're no longer the woman who loses sleep over a man who can sleep peacefully after hurting you. You're the woman who is calm. You're the woman who is focused. You're the woman who is moving forward. You're the woman who has a life. You're the woman who is building something bigger than him. And when he sees that, he feels small. Because now he realizes he wasn't the center of your world. He was just a part of it. And a man will always chase harder when he realizes he is not your whole universe. Now, here's the part that's going to hit you the hardest. The reason this works is not because you're trying to make him jealous. It's because you're finally acting like a woman who knows she can be loved properly. And when you start acting like that, you attract different energy. You attract better men. You attract healthier love. You attract consistency. You attract respect. And even if he comes back, he will have to compete with the new version of you, not with another man, with you, with your peace, with your standards, with your self-worth. And that's the most savage part of all, because the old version of you would have accepted him back with a simple, I missed you. But the new version of you looks him in the eye and says, what changed? And if he can't answer that with actions, not words, then he doesn't get you. Now, let me say something to you that might make you emotional. You were never too much. You were just giving too much to someone who wasn't giving enough. You were never hard to love. You were just loving someone who didn't know how to hold you. You were never the problem. The problem was you kept trying to fix a man who wasn't trying to fix himself. And now you're done. You're done begging. You're done chasing. You're done explaining. You're done proving. You're done competing. You're done settling. And when you reach that place, you become the woman he can't replace. Because a man can replace attention. He can replace convenience. He can replace a woman who's always available, but he cannot replace a woman who knows her worth and stands on it. That woman is rare. That woman is dangerous. That woman is unforgettable. And the moment you become her, whether he comes back or not, you win. Because now you're not fighting for his love. You're protecting your peace. And that is the ultimate power. And I need you to hear me right now, because this is the moment where you either go back to the old you or you step into the woman you were always meant to be. Stop calling it, ignoring him like it's some little trick. This is you choosing yourself. This is you finally saying, I will not beg for what I deserve. This is you finally saying, if you can't value me, you will lose me. This is you finally saying, I am not an option. I am not a backup. I am not a late night thought. And let me tell you what's going to happen when you really do it, when you really go quiet, not with anger, but with power. He is going to feel something he has never felt before. Your absence, not your words, not your tears, not your explanations, your absence. And that absence is going to hit him in places your love never could, because love without boundaries is invisible to a man who thinks you'll always stay. But when you walk away with your head high, when you stop responding, when you stop reacting, when you stop feeding his ego, he doesn't just lose you. He loses the version of himself that felt important because you made him feel important. And that's when he starts spiraling. That's when he starts replaying your voice. That's when he starts remembering your loyalty. That's when he starts realizing you were rare. And if he comes back, he's not coming back because you begged. He's coming back because you finally stopped. And if he doesn't come back, then baby, you didn't lose the love of your life. You lost a lesson. You lost a distraction. You lost a weight, and you gained your freedom. So let him wonder, let him miss, let him reach, let him regret. Because you are no longer the woman who stays available to someone who keeps proving they don't deserve you. You are the woman who becomes unforgettable the moment you stop trying to be remembered.